Hello and welcome. I wanted to tell you about my conservation task that I did. It was for the numbers, Piaget's conservation numbers, and I chose a group of 4 first graders and 8 second graders to do this task with, and I used the pennies, as many of you saw with the video before. And I lined up in 2 different rows, 10 pennies on one line, another 10 pennies on the bottom, and asked the children a series of questions. Are they equal? Are they the same? How do you know? And then I would change it up and space out the pennies so it looks longer on the top than it did on the bottom. And I asked them the same question: which one has more? How do you know? And can you explain it? What if we put it back? What if it was somebody else? How would you explain to them? And out of all the students, I also went through and asked their primary teachers in math if they were not meeting yet, nearly meeting, or meeting their mathematical expectations for their grade level, and made a graph based off of that information for both first grade and second grade. And I separated those out based off of their developmental skills and age. And I gave a point system for the Piaget's cognitive stage development based off of their age. There was a point system for the conservation stages based off of the skills that were listed as in our paper that was assigned to us. And with that, came up with a graph to show the points given for their cognitive points, state standard points, whether they're meeting, not meeting, nearly meeting, conservation points, and then totaling that up. And what I found on the graph, which was very interesting, but in many ways logically made sense, was that those that were not meeting state standards were also not meeting the cognitive or conservation developmentally appropriate points based off of where their skills and age and stage should be for their grade level. And one gal that I was doing this with, and I found it very interesting, a first grader, was an exception to this rule. She is on the lower end of not meeting her state standards for mathematics, but she was able to explain why they were still the same. And then she actually had taken, the bottom row was the normal 10 pennies, and then on the top it was spread out with the 10. And she took one of the pennies from the bottom and moved it to the top and said, but now it would definitely have more. And so she was able to get out of that limited thinking, and she was able to specify how to change that thinking to the next level. And so it was actually nice that she was able to show that she was advanced or able to verbalize those skills more than what she has shown on her state standards. So I found that very interesting as well. Really enjoyed this task. It played out very much so like we saw in the video. The one thing that I would be very interested in seeing is if I had more students of different ages, different skill levels, to see if the pattern would continue or if it would change based off of their age, stage, and cognitive development. Obviously haven't had time to do that, but I think that it would be very interesting to see it played out a little bit more at a different level, and make it a little bit more abstract. Maybe add to that conservation task itself, and see where we can go with that. But outside of that, that was the conservation task that I had in the group. For the numbers conservation was just me, myself, and I. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'm happy to show you, actually real quick, the 2 graphs. In case you're interested, I'm going to turn my camera around. And let's see here. Maybe not. Doesn't want to turn around now.